Simon, I want to talk to you a bit about doing online business in South Africa. We're seeing lots of young South Africans starting up their own enterprises, and if we look at government's plans for national development in the country, we know that small businesses really are where it's at. But as a business owner, somebody who started something like this out from scratch, it's not easy, I imagine.
It isn't. There's a lot of lip service paid to small and micro businesses, and that's where it's at, etc. And it's like a Sunday school answer. It's the good answer on paper, right? But it's not necessarily what's lived out in a day-to-day experience or executed by national structures. So, for example, it's really hard in South Africa comparatively to a couple of other countries to register a business, even other African countries. It takes lots of emailing, it takes lots of reminding, it takes lots of phone calls. It's not an online or mobile-friendly process. The other thing that's really hard to do is get any kind of merchant transactional ID from a bank. So this is one of the chicken and egg situations that a lot of businesses face. Is they need a payment gateway to transact online, but you have to have a merchant number to transact online, right? The ideal situation is to have your own merchant number. Now, normally payment gateways have their own merchant numbers that you can piggyback off, which is why payment gateways like PayU, Peach Payments, they're very helpful in that regard. But if you're a business that wants maybe long-term to do some very specific things, then you need your own merchant number. You can't get that merchant number unless you've been transacting as an online business. So the bank says to you, when you've done 6 months of business, we'll give you a merchant number. And then you go, can we have the merchant number to do the 6 months of business, maybe, please? And they go, no, sorry. So that is a typical kind of online business chicken and egg situation that you run into. So you have to be prepared to make some kind of generic compromises to use a payment gateway that already has its own merchant number that's allowed to seed out to its users.
But there must be some perks. You stuck it out and are presumably enjoying it. What makes doing business like this in South Africa good?
The one perk is that I now value having a salary much more than I used to. So when I was at my old job, I look back at the money that I got and I kind of wonder how or where I spent it. I think it was mostly at wine from Woolies. And now I don't do that much anymore. Certainly, I mean, it really teaches you about what's important. When you're an entrepreneur, the first thing that gets taken away from you is stuff, is your material stuff, the ability to buy things, the ability to have things, etc. And you can't rely on stuff to make you happy. So you have to rely on your relationships, your family. You have to rely on the thing that you're trying to build or the problem that you're trying to solve. And certainly, you have to have stuff that can make you happy, because entrepreneurship will also make you cry at the foot of your bed, which may or may not have happened.
I know your wife. I'm going to phone her and ask.
No, she can verify.
Who's also an entrepreneur, so I can imagine how that goes down.
We aren't a very mentally balanced family in that regard. We do have cats, which we talk to probably more than is healthy.
They're probably sick of your crap by now.
They're definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, the cats. They weren't happy with it to begin with. She's also an entrepreneur. That's a very interesting dynamic, because normally good logic says one of you should take the plunge and the other one should be the safe anchor, and you can sort of compromise now on what you want, and the other one will compromise later, right? There will be safety. No, we both jumped in head first. I jumped in just a little bit after her, in fact, so I was probably the unwise one. But it has been fantastic for our relationship, because she's currently freaking out about the fact that she's gotten into over 200 stores and has to fly overseas for a meeting with a massive multinational online retailer to possibly stock her product. And there's a high risk or reward situation going on there. And I know how she feels. I know the weird paranoias and the freak outs that she's having. I understand that sometimes she can look at an email for half an hour and not know what to say to the person, the huge decisions she has to make. And I simply would not have been able to get it if I was still at my old job, if I had never run a business, however successfully, good or bad. I think once you've taken a crack at being responsible and literally potentially going to jail if you mess things up, thanks SARS, then you understand those really hectic emotions. You also understand the euphoria. It's been really good to connect with her like that.
Now, for a viewer who wants more information about WumDrop or who perhaps wants to connect with you on social media to ask you a question, how can they do that?
Our URL is wumdrop.com, so that's W-U, that's a triple U, but one's a W, WUMDROP.com. It's the same for our Twitter handle and the same for Facebook, facebook.com/WumDrop.